What's up, guys? We are talking about tire shake in today's video. There's lots of videos out on the internet talking about drag racing suspension. You need to do this and you need to do that, and this works and this doesn't. And I'm here to tell you that that's really not the case. Every suspension setup is going to be specific for each car. I think a lot of those videos and concepts are a good starting point, but you'll find yourself not really following all of their exact rules because there's not a written rule that says you need to do this and the car will perform. You need to do what the car likes and the car will perform. So what we have in today's video, I'm going to show you guys some videos of tire shake. There's a number of reasons why you could shake the tires. I'm talking about a radial application. I'm no suspension expert. I'm only talking to you guys from my experience of drag racing, from holding the wheel and working on the car and making changes. So you're able to go out there. We have really good data on these cars. We use all Scarlett Solutions sensors. We're running their shock travel sensors. We have a VPS, vehicle position sensor from Davis, and that will give us pitch, angle, and G, and yaw, and a bunch of other data. But we have really good data on these cars that help us get the chassis dialed in. We run a 275 Radial Pro. We are on a QA1 mod shock. Pretty much all of my cars that are 4-link run a 9-inch travel shock. We don't have 9 inches of separation. We actually had more. We took some out of that. So now we have about like 7.5 inches. Trying to think what else. This car you're going to be looking at, it's called Slick Rick 481X. At the time, it had a Hertz 140 single turbo on there. Now it has a twin turbo variation with twin 98s. But we were at Rockingham Dragway, Battle of the Thrones, first round. It's pretty unique. We have an undercar footage of tire shake. So pretty much what happens when you shake the tires, you can do it in a number of ways. A lot of times it needs more power to keep the tire planted. It could be low air pressure, or there could be not enough weight. So some guys will put weight on the rear end housing to kind of remedy that. Sometimes it is just going up in tire pressure. On a radial, you have to keep that tire round. So if you get too low in tire pressure, you start getting wrinkles all over it, and it's kind of like I mean, it really is just got to keep the tire round. A lot of people think, oh, it shook the tires, you need to drop the tire pressure. No, it's not the case. You need to put more in it. Once that tire is planted and you really start applying power, you don't want that thing wrinkling all the way around. I know you've seen the pictures on the internet of like wrinkles on the front side of the tire. You don't want that. We're looking for like 2 or 3 wrinkles in the tire. That's really it. So some of our heavy cars, or if the car is separating super hard and it's just crushing the sidewall of the tire, that's going to require more tire pressure. So it's not just, oh, put your bar angle here and put your bar angle here, and that'll make it separate, and you're good to go. There's so many different factors to what goes into this. But this is a pretty unique video of tire shake. This was first round. I went red like an idiot. So the race was already over. But you'll see, when you shake the tires, you have a split second to get out the throttle. If you stay in it, it will continue to tire shake, probably even get more violent. Tire shake breaks shit. When this shook, the tires actually sheared all the rivets out of the firewall. So I only have a couple rivets holding that sucker in until I put new ones in it. But you risk increasing wheel speed crazy, and that's when you tend to crash if you're further out there. We made it, this was before we topped the shock out. This was right as the lockup came on. So track conditions also can cause this, where probably aggressive on the lockup. We left the tune-up in it from the night before, so we were going full lockup in first gear. We have a soft lock. We were not even using that, which I think we're going to implement that to remedy this issue. But we were like 1.1 seconds into the run, and it was going from converter slip to locked up. So you're having a pretty severe RPM drop. The lockup was aggressive enough to then pick the front tires back up. And with the track, heat of the day, a little bit more marginal, you'll notice that it rattles the tires. But we'll play some clips of what tire shake is, and then we'll slow it down and talk about it even more. All right, so I know what everyone's going to say after watching that is, oh, John, you topped the shock out and then it rattled the tires. Well, that's why it's important to have really good data. It actually lost the tire with an inch of separation left. So the way that we have all the cars set up here is the shock is the limiting factor to separation. So the anti-roll bar doesn't stop it. The wishbone doesn't hit. Nothing hits the drive shaft. The only thing that stops the car from separating is the shock. The QA1 mod shocks, the bar angle, the valve pack, everything that we're running, the shock data looks amazing. You let go of the button, it goes pretty linearly, and that's a tough word to say, you guys say it at home. And then right at the top, right before it tops the shock out, the shock velocity slows down and it rolls over, which is perfect. Obviously, you can change that just by messing with the shocks, but we have it dialed pretty good. The 60 foot's on the car, deep sub 1 second, 60 foots. Heat of the day, just one flat 60 foots. That's kind of where we are. So the shock is not changing all that much. We're talking about 1 or 2 clicks at most. So we have a good handle on the shock. But it actually, if you look at the data, right as the lockup comes on, that's when drive shaft speed starts to go crazy, and then it rattles the tires. So you could see, we'll slow it down in a second. I'll put the clip back up again. But when it starts shaking the tires, the rear end is just rattling, like back and forth. The anti-roll bar is putting that through the entire car, and it is so violent. There's one clip in here where both rear tires are off of the ground. Now you got to think, if you're still in the gas and you're putting down 3,000-4,000 horsepower and the tires lift for a second, your drive shaft speed, your wheel speed is going to go through the roof, and then that's going to cause you to lose control. If you go out there and you actually smoke the tires, like you have smoke rolling off of them, you're about to have a bad day. So it's very important. From the driver's seat, obviously, you let go of the button, you feel a lot of G-force. So you're set back in the seat and you're riding, and that split second where you lose that G, it throws you forward. You have to be on it, where as soon as you lose that G, where you start coming forward, you got to get out the gas, because that's no good. Whether it just straight up spins the tires, shakes, something breaks, that's when you're going to lose that G-force. And you got to be aware. I mean, you'll see how quick. I'll play the in-car again as well. When it loses the G, it throws you forward, and you got to be off that gas quick. If you stay in that, that's when you can get into some serious trouble. So, and we have some parameters in there where it's not going to like bang the shifter unless you're over X amount, but that X amount of drive shaft speed, that's pretty much to help on the start line in case it spins like on the line. It's not going to bang high gear. But you really have to be aware, not driving kind of like concern that's going to happen. It definitely, that pass right there, that was the first time it shook the tires in maybe 20 some passes. So wasn't in my crystal ball, wasn't a concern of mine. After the fact, knowing that the track was getting more marginal, backing that lockup up, but I don't really have a lot of data on the lockup. We just put it there and it worked, and we just left it and we didn't mess with it because the car was working. So yeah, the tire shake is crazy. It'll happen on street cars. My 5th gen Camaro independent rear suspension, I fought tire shaking that thing like crazy. That whole time it was tire pressure. That car is a very heavy car, independent rear suspension. It wanted to sit back and crush that tire. We ended up running 19 pounds of air in that car, and in that car, 4,000 pound car going 115, 116, 60 foots in independent rear suspension, badass. But if you told someone you were running 19 psi of tire pressure in a ET Street Radial Pro, 275 Radial Pro, they would look at you like you're crazy, because everyone's 14 and a half, 15, 15 and a half, 16. But every car is different, and tire shake is crazy, and it will tear some shit up. We could leave the tune up the same and put 40 pounds on the rear end housing. That's a band-aid. We want the car to be as light as possible, and as fast as possible, and as consistent as possible. So that's just, I thought it was a cool video, cool under the car shot of tire shake. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys, I have a bunch of these like crazy angle videos, and what I consider a high level drag racing. If you guys are interested in more data, or talking about suspension, or going over bar angle, or anything like that, comment down below. This channel that I post on, Nasty Co, is kind of like a side channel where there's no rules. I can post whatever I want. So there you have it. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you guys in the next upload, whenever that is.